four kinds of right effort. Sometimes we call it the mental energy as well. Call it mental efforts. We also call it mental energy. Depend on the usage when we explain. So there are the four kinds of right effort, and the first one is to avoid unwholesome states of mind that have not yet arisen. Now that is the first effort here mentioned, to avoid. Now, how do we avoid the unwholesome mind from arising by watching the sense door? If we are very mindful on our sense door, then unwholesome states of mind cannot arise. Some monks are very serious. They are supposed to watch the sense door, and there are monks who wear specs and they take away their spectacles, and when you walk near them also they cannot see you. So you do feel that, hey, why this monk is so impolite? You pay respect to him, he doesn't even greet you. The fact is, he can't see you. He's taken off his specs. So, in other words, if he can't see, then there's no likes and dislikes arises in his mind. So, it does not mean that we make ourselves blind. It is not so. It does not mean that we make ourselves deaf so we can't hear. It is not so. So there are those who do that during Buddha's time, like the ascetics who burn their body so they would not have desire arises from the body feelings. That is extreme. Buddha says that would be extreme of self-mortification, creating great pain in the body to develop wholesomeness, which is wrong because it weakens the body and the mind. So one needs to develop the mindfulness when we see, and mindfulness of hearing. So probably note the hearing first before we go to the concepts of what is being spoken. So if we are mindful, then we find that defilements becomes less, arises in your mind. The efforts to overcome unwholesome states of mind that have already arisen. Now what happened to the unwholesome mind that is already there? So they're not aware. So the unwholesome mind that is a lot of greed, a lot of hatred, ill will, jealousy, fear, a lot of all these sadness, these are all unwholesome mind. Now what happened if it has already risen? So according to the books, there are 5 methods of expelling unwholesome thoughts. So he says that gain another wholesome objects. Now, how do we gain a wholesome objects? By changing objects. Like if the object causes you a lot of pain or suffering, then you just switch object. Think of other things else. Don't keep on thinking of that thing that produces so much suffering. So that is a change of objects. So that is one way of letting go the unwholesome mind. When the object disappears, then the unwholesome mind disappears. Because mind arises with objects. It cannot arise without objects. Aramana is object. So once you let go the objects, you also let go the mind. The mind will cease once you let go the objects. So the changing of objects, if something that produces a lot of fear when you think about it, then you switch objects. Think of pleasant things and don't keep thinking about those things that produce a lot of fear. For example, at night, if you have fear of the nights, of unseen beings, so if you have change of objects, you probably think of them as benign in a sense that they are not there to harm you. We always think of unseen beings like they are going to harm us, so we think of them as enemies. But if you were to think that perhaps they are guiding, they are sort of looking after you, they are your angels of protection, then you will not have fear. Now that is changing of mind objects. So that is one way of changing the unwholesome mind, by changing objects. There are many ways of doing it. So I always recommend those who have a lot of mental stress and a lot of mental problems. I always say, have a hobbies, do something you like to do. So when the mind is occupied with something that you like to do, then the disturbances of mind cannot arise. If it arises, it will cease. So that is a very good way of changing the mind by objects, something you like to do, some drawing, some gardening, even to go for yoga class, some exercise, swimming. Now for those who has a lot of those mental disturbances, a lot of sadness, a lot of fear and so forth. So it is good to change gain another wholesome objects. Now one could reflection on the misery of unwholesome thoughts. One would say is that unwholesome thoughts brings a lot of suffering. It is blameworthy that people may blame if you have these type of thoughts, unpleasant thoughts like cruelty and unwholesome thoughts like all those things that are not wholesome, that are not that breaks the sila, for example. So contemplate on the misery, the resultants of unwholesome thoughts that is not conducive for spiritual life. If you say that we are practicing to develop our spiritual life, and if we have a lot of those unwholesome states, then like sadness or like frustration or like being depressed, then it would not be good for spiritual life. Or we could ignore it, pay no attention to unwholesome thoughts. So how would you just ignore it? By just push it off your mind, just concentrate on what you're doing now, in the present. If you try to do something in the present and just ignore those thoughts, unwholesome thoughts that keep on arising, it do works. After some time it just disappear. I have tried that and it do works. Now, one could think of the compounded nature of the unwholesome thoughts, that it arises due to reason, does not arise by itself. It has a reason of its arising. Now, if you contemplate on it, why do I have anger? Because probably I have seen something I do not like to see, or I have heard in the morning something I do not like to hear, or I have eaten something that is not agreeable to my stomach, so I have anger, or ill will, or things like that. Now, by such type of contemplation, of finding, looking for its cause, you find that unwholesome mind also ceases. And the Buddha says, by strong willpower to subdue unwholesome thoughts. Now, this is a difficult one, which the Bodhisattva did that in his struggling towards enlightenment, is by using force until the Buddha sweats. Sweats come out of his body to subdue evil thoughts or unwholesome thoughts. Now, the Buddha says that with teeth clenched and tongue pressed against the roof of the mouth, he beats down, restrains, and crushes mind with mind, Just as strong man might seize a weaker man, constrain and crush him down. Now this is a difficult one. This is using force to subdue the unwholesome mind. Saying that, okay, I won't be angry. I'm not going to be angry. I'm going to clear my mind of anger. That's not an easy thing to do. So that's quite difficult method. That is a difficult method to do. But it's one of those methods, one of the 5 methods that overcome unwholesome thoughts. Effort to maintain. Now we have effort to develop wholesome mental thoughts, mental states. They have not arisen. Now here it states that what is to develop, and that is the 7 factors of enlightenment. We need to develop the factors of enlightenment for realization, so that needs to be developed. Now we find that all these factors, sometimes they are interlinked. You find in the 7 factors, you find in the 5 powers of mind, and you find elsewhere. Like the 7 factors are mindfulness, investigation, energy, joy, tranquility, concentration, equanimity. This will be one of the subjects that we are going to cover later on, right? So to develop the factors of enlightenment. Now, if these factors are not developed, then there will be no enlightenment, right? Efforts to maintain wholesome mind. Now, this effort to maintain that what we do here, like metta for 15 minutes, vipassana, wisdom or mindfulness meditation, half an hour. So that is maintaining. Even though the mind runs away, we note the mind, bring it back. We maintain the concentration. We maintain the samadhi and the knowing. Now we maintain that. And a good way of maintaining it is through meditation. And in daily life, we can maintain wholesome thoughts as well. Once we, let's say, we have some wholesome thoughts arise, and we keep repeating it in our mind, some wholesome things that you want to do. In that way, you maintain the thoughts. You will not forget. If you don't repeat that in your mind, you forget very soon. You may say that you want to do something, but very soon you forget, or you have no energy to do it. Now, if you repeat that thing that you want to do, like you tell yourself, okay, Tuesday is meditation day, so I will come Tuesday meditation day. Now, if you keep reminding yourself and maintain that wholesome thoughts that, okay, meditation Tuesday, I will make sure that I'll leave the Tuesday night empty so that I can come for meditation. Now, if you do that constantly in your mind, then the thoughts becomes very strong. So you definitely will come here for meditation. Now, it is one way of effort to maintain. Now, in the vipassana or in the samatha meditation, to maintain that when you are in concentration, it is very essential to maintain that level of mind that you have got into it. Like when you get into certain type of concentration, do not be distracted. Do not just stand up and leave and say, okay, time's up, half an hour, stop meditation. Or if you were to go to the retreat center and is supposed to half an hour sitting, half an hour walking, and so forth to rotate. But once you are in strong samadhi, maintain it. If you are walking, you are walking, don't sit. If you are sitting, you are sitting, don't walk. If you are standing, you are standing, don't sit and walk. To maintain that pattern of mind so that it would get deeper and get into the wisdom. The wisdom, in other words, getting into the jhanas, insight knowledge. So once you are able to get strong concentration, doesn't matter if you sit for 3 hours. There are those who are able to sit 4 hours in one sitting. But of course, you must be in samadhi, must gain that concentration, and the whole body becomes very light, and there's no stress, no pain. Otherwise, you should not force yourself to sit that long. You should not force yourself to sit more than 1 hour. 1 hour is quite okay. You could feel a lot of pain, but the body could take it. But don't force yourself to sit 2-3 hours. That is no good for the body. But if you are in samadhi, in very strong concentration, you don't feel the stress, you don't feel the pain, just make sure you just continue with that concentration. Just sit. Doesn't matter if you sit 3 hours, 4 hours, doesn't matter. You could go deep and deep and deep. If you start changing posture, it becomes a distraction. So that is a maintaining, which is very necessary when you get into deep samadhi. The effort is balanced with the concentration. If you have very strong effort, but the concentration is not there, then the mind get very restless. You keep pushing yourself, like if you go for a retreat and keep sitting 1 hour, walking 1 hour, sitting 1 hour, walking hour. But if the concentration is not there, you keep on pushing, then the mind becomes very restless, and you have remorse and restlessness and agitation all will arise. So it is not balanced. In other words, the energy is too much, concentration is not there. So you balance up by relaxing your energy, go slow. Just relax and build up the concentration. Now, if the concentration is strong without energy, then the mind will just stay stuck. Then it goes into sleepiness. Just focus on it. Just stay there, just focus. But when the energy is not there, then it gets stuck. Or even when you get into samadhi, because of the concentration, you get peace. But if the effort is not there to bring your mind to see the arising and disappearing, then it goes to sleepiness. So that is the importance of balancing your faculties. If you don't balance it, then you find that while you are stuck, while your meditation, you don't progress to the desired point which you like to. Why is it stuck? Because your faculties is not balanced. So normally, the teacher will, meditation teacher will interview and will try to balance up your faculties by telling you what to do. If you're sleepy, lack of energy, then do more walking, things like that. But if you, by yourself, if you're meditating by yourself, then you must learn to do your own balancing. Of course, when it is lack of energy, then nothing happens. You're sleepy all the time. You can't meditate. If you have too much energy, then you find that without concentration, without the focus there, then mind gets very restless. So still that is not right. So you reduce your energy. And the same way with concentration. If it is not without mindfulness, then it's wrong concentration. The concentration needs to have mindfulness. Now, if concentration is strong and energy is weak, then it is not balanced. If concentration is weak, then of course, it goes nowhere. So you need to train up, bring up more concentration. So that's the balancing of concentration and energy. So, any question for tonight on the faculties on energy? You can call it mental effort or mental energy, right?